So, the IMDb top 100 list. Shall we look at entries 40 to 31? Roll the titles. Hi guys, it is Mr. Scotty Pie and I am back for another video. So, it's Tuesday, which only means one thing. The IMDb top 100 list. If this is your first video, to give you a rundown what happens, every Tuesday I release a video where I talk about 10 films from the IMDb top 100 list. You don't need to have seen those previous ones to understand what's going on, but if you want to go back and watch them, they are on the channel. So I go through each of the films, I talk about my opinions on them, a little bit what the film is about, and my opinion on the position on this list. If I've not heard of the film or seen this film before, I will read through the description given IMDb and then discuss what I thought about that from there. So there's no point hanging around. Shall we jump into number 40 in the IMDb top 100 list? And that is going to be American History X. This is the Edward Norton film. This is a film I actually watched for the first time about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It recently went to Netflix. I knew it was an absolute classic. I've seen obviously the image of Edward Norton with the swastika tattoo on his chest. Obviously Edward Norton's obviously an amazing actor, so I wanted to see what this was about, and I adored it from the absolute get-go. I think this is such an interesting story. It tells the story of Edward Norton and his younger brother. Edward Norton is full-on neo-Nazi, skinhead, racist, basically. His young brother, idolises him and basically starts following down the same path. One day, someone tries to break into Edward Norton's house, so Edward Norton murders the thief as they try and run away and ends up serving time in prison. When he gets out of prison, he has turned a new leaf. He met people of colour in the prison and realised they're normal, they're just people, and he ended up having his whole world turned. And when he comes out, he finds that his brother's gone deeper into the neo-Nazi skinhead scene, and he tries to help his brother turn his life around, while his whole world that he created is now everything that he stands against. So it's him trying to understand what's going on there. It's an absolutely fantastic film about race and cultural diversity. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a film I highly recommend and a film I absolutely adored. Number 39 on this list, number 40 on this list, American Psycho. I'm glad it's on this list as I loved it. Number 40, I'd probably stick it a bit higher. I'd probably stick it not much higher, but I'd definitely stick it around the 30 mark personally. Maybe late 20s, early 30 mark. But number 40, I can see 100%. Number 39 on this list is one of my favourite films of all time. It probably goes my top 5 favourite films of all time. So I won't say it's 39, but I can kind of understand it because I'm sure it's not a lot of people as love it as much as I do. But obviously it's 39, so a lot of people do love it. That is the Ridley Scott film Gladiator, starring Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix. As I said, it's one of my favourite films of all time. It tells a story of a Roman general who gets basically, when the Caesar dies, he names Russell Crowe's character Maximus as his heir rather than his own son. His son played by Joaquin Phoenix. But before that gets officially announced or anyone finds out, Joaquin Phoenix orders Maximus's death. Maximus manages to escape, and during his escape finds out that his family's been killed, and he gets kidnapped and put into slavery to be a gladiator. It's an incredible story. It's really well told. It looks amazing. It's fantastic. It tells the story of a general to slave to legend. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what the tagline was. It's fantastic. If you've not seen it, it's very actiony and a bit gory, but it's a phenomenal watch. As I said, 39. I would have put it a lot higher on this list, but that's my personal list. I'd love to know what you think. Do you think it should be higher on this list like I do? Do you think it should be lower on the list? Or do you think 39 is about right? Let me know in the comments below. Next is another film I absolutely adore. And this is the Roman Polanski film, The Pianist. This was actually the first Roman Polanski film I ever watched. Followed by The Ghost and things like that. I'm not delved too much into Roman Polanski, but what I've seen of him, I do like his work. Obviously, I know there's issues with his private life, but I'm not touching something about his actual working career. I do enjoy his work. This is the film that Adrian Brody won his Oscar for. He plays a Jewish man in Poland as the Holocaust happens. This is a true story. I have also read the autobiography of the person it's based on. I can't remember his name. It's not in here either. But I have read the autobiography. It's difficult read. Like, this is a very difficult watch. It's heavy. Obviously, it tells the story of the Holocaust and basically the Nazi regime over and the murder of the Jewish population in Poland. It's beautifully told. It's, as I said, difficult to watch, but it's a story of hope and humanity at its core, I'd say, told by in the most heart-wrenching and hard to watch at times way. It's definitely one you have to watch, and it will rip you apart before building you back up again. But when it builds back up again, it doesn't build you that in the same way when you started. It really doesn't. I would have stuck this higher on this list personally. This is a top 10 film for me. I think this film is an absolute masterpiece. I really, really do. But I just know, what do you think? Do you think it should be high on this list, low on this list? Or do you think 38's the right position? I think it should be a lot higher on this list. I think this is an incredible, incredible film. So, moving on to number 37 is the Martin Scorsese film, The Departed from 2006. Departed starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson and Mark Wahlberg. This tells a story of double crossing within gangs and police. The mafia, I think it was mafia, has a mole within the police, while the police have a mole within the mafia. It tells the story of double crossing, and it's obviously quite an actiony film. Very well told. It's Martin Scorsese. You kind of know you're getting Martin Scorsese. He tells a very certain type of film, and he tells that genre of film so well, and probably the best. He's obviously one of the best living directors around, and I always look forward to watching one of his films. Obviously, The Irishman was the last film which I absolutely adored. I didn't watch it in one go, like most people didn't, but it was such a fantastic film, as is The Departed. Next is number 36. It's the Christopher Nolan film, The Prestige. This is the film starring Christopher Bale, Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson and Michael Caine. Personally, I wasn't massive into this film. I thought it was just okay. I think this is one of Chris Nolan's weakest films. I'd go that far as saying. I really would. I watched the film, I enjoyed the film, but afterwards I was like, seen it now, don't need to delve back into that again. It was just alright. I probably would watch it again, maybe, because obviously it's getting a lot of hype. I've heard a lot of people rave about this film, and I'm like, am I missing something? Maybe I am. Maybe I need to rewatch it again. What do you think though? 36, good position, bad position? I'd love to know. I generally would love to know what you think. Am I wrong in my thinking? Should I get this film rewatched? Or do you agree that this film is just an alright film? Next is a film from 2011, which is a film I've not heard of. By look of the cast and crew, it's not an English spoken film. It's called Untouchable. So as I said, I've not heard this film before, so I am going to jump into the description of the film, which is, after he became a quadriplegic from a paragliding accident, an aristocrat, sorry, I must warn you as well, I do warn every video as well when I'm reading this. IMDb have got a white background and light grey writing for their description. It's quite difficult to read, so I'm going to try it again. After he became a quadriplegic from a paragliding accident, an aristocrat hires a young man from the projects to be his caregiver. I'm pretty sure they remade this recently, didn't they? With Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. Is that a remake of this film? I've not seen that film either. I'd heard mixed reviews for it. But I did know that was based on another film, so I'm guessing it's this film. And this is a film that I have heard of and is one that I've actually been wanting to watch. It sounds very interesting. It sounds like an exploration into classes and society and life. It's definitely one that does interest me. But as I've not seen it, so I don't know if 35 is a good position for this film. So let me know. Should it be higher? Should it be lower? Or is 35 a good position? And what did you think of this film in general? I wanted to watch this film. It is a film that interests me. But what did you think? So let's jump into 34 on this list, which is Whiplash. This is the film starring Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. I love this film. It tells the story of Miles Teller, who is a drummer and basically joins a school for music where he joins the band, I think it's like a jazz and blues band, overseen by teacher J.K. Simmons, who is one of the meanest and hardest and strictest teachers ever. Happy to use physical contact to get his point across, and basically just demoralise everyone and emotionally torture his students. It's a phenomenal story, absolutely fantastic. I love this film to bits. I wasn't sure going into it, like, I love music, so I was like, I love music films, so do I jump into this film? Am I going to love it? Am I going to hate it? And I absolutely adored it. I couldn't even tell you why I love it so much. It's a film that I normally probably wouldn't like or probably find boring or drift off from, but I didn't drift off for a second. I was gripped. Obviously, the acting was phenomenal. I'm pretty sure that's got a long way to go with why I love this film so much. And obviously, the story was so clever and so well done. It's a film that I absolutely adore. 34 on this list, I do think it's a bit high. I would have put this low. I would have put this on the top 100 definitely, but I probably would have put this more around the 50-60 mark personally. But what do you think? Do you think it should be higher on this list, lower on this list like I do? Or do you think 34 is the right position? And what did you think in this film in general? Do you know why you like this film so much? Or are you like me? Like, I don't know why I liked it, but I loved it. Number 33 is a film I absolutely adore. It's one of my top films from last year. This is, I think it's actually, I voted it as my #1 film of last year, actually. And this is Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix film. This is his second entry this top 10, so he's smashing it today. Obviously, this story is the origin, an origin story, because there's so many different origins for the Joker, obviously from the Batman universe. It's directed by Todd Phillips, who's notable previously from directing the Hangover movies, with help from Martin Scorsese. Robert De Niro guests in this film as well, and we have Zazie Beetz as well. This is obviously the film that Joaquin Phoenix won his Oscar for, and as I said, this was my top pick for a film last year. I saw it in cinemas twice last year, and I loved it both times. I think this film is an absolute masterpiece. I generally think this is a masterpiece of filmmaking. This would probably go in my top 10 favourite films of all time, top 15 at its very worst. I love and adore this film. If you've not seen it, please do yourself a favour. This isn't, if you're not into comic book films, you can easily forget this is a film about Batman's arch nemesis Joker, because Batman's not in this film at all. Bruce Wayne is as a cameo, but only as a cameo as a small child. This is a film about mental health, mental illness, and society and class. It's a phenomenal film, and I highly recommend everybody watch this film. So jumping to 32 on this list, we have It's a Wonderful Life. This is obviously the Christmas classic everybody watches every year. A man basically considers suicide, basically, and he then has to imagine what the world and life would be like if he was never born, or if he did commit suicide. It's been many years since I watched this film, and he gets a new perspective on life, and he comes out of that and thinks it's a wonderful life. It's obviously a very uplifting film because he realizes the joy of life. It is very obviously set at Christmas time, and he basically realizes why life's so amazing. It is a fantastic film. It wouldn't go on my list for this in this high. I know a lot of people would. It's nothing against this film. It's just I'd personally put other films ahead of it. Would it be my top 100 though? Yes, it would. I'm not sure whereabouts. Probably about 40-50 mark, I'd say myself. But I know a lot of people would disagree with that, because I know a lot of people's one of their favourite films of all time. This is just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Would you put this higher on this list? Do you agree this? Would you put this on your low list personally? If I had to make an independent list, I'd probably put this back here, I'd guess. But on my personal list, lower. I hope that makes sense. But I'd love to know your opinion. So let's finish off this episode this week with a film I've not heard of. I've heard of but not seen. This is a 1954 film. This is Seven Samurai. This is, I believe this has been remade, so this is the original. I believe this was the original inspiration for The Magnificent Seven, I believe. Obviously the legendary American film. I believe they stole their whole idea from Seven Samurai. But I am going to jump into the film description from IMDb. A poor village under attack from bandits recruits 7 unemployed samurai to help them defend themselves. As I said, I've not seen this film, but obviously I've heard about it. I know obviously Magnificent Seven, which is one of the great franchises in cinema history, took their story from this film. I know this is a legendary film that I need to watch, but I've not seen it, and I know I need to, and I'll get round to that 100%. But what do you think about this film? Should it be higher? Should it be lower? What's your opinions on the film? Let me know in the comments. And do let me know in the comments about any of the films we talked about today. I do respond to all comments. Let's do start a conversation down there. So that is the episode this week. If you did enjoy this video, please do hit the like button. And obviously come back next week when we do number 30 to 21. And obviously, please do hit that subscribe button. I also do trailer reactions, movie reviews, movie news. So if that is all your sort of thing, do hit that subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to me. And I do hope you have a good day. Or if you're only coming for these weekly IMDb videos, I hope you have a good week. I am Mr. Scotty Pie, and I am out of here.